Good morning everyone. This video is for the students of class 12 subject economics. Chapter number 9, problem of deficient demand and excess demand. And this is my lecture number 2 for this chapter from macroeconomics. So in our last video lecture we read about problem of deficient demand. In this video we shall understand problem of excess demand. Excess demand means excess of AD, or that is aggregate demand. It is a situation when aggregate demand is in excess of aggregate supply. Okay. See, demand is said to be excess when it is more than what is required for the fuller utilization of resources. Okay. So, what does excess demand lead to? When there is excess demand, okay, there is no change in equilibrium output. Why? Because it cannot be raised as resources are already fully utilized. So that's why it is said demand is said to be excess when it is more than what is required for fuller utilization of resources. Okay, so this implies two things, that AD is greater than AS corresponding to full employment in the economy, or we can say AD crosses its full employment level. Okay. Now let us understand excess demand through this diagram. On y-axis aggregate demand is shown, on x-axis income is shown. This dark blue line is AS line that shows aggregate supply or income in the economy. Now this blue line, that is ADF, this shows aggregate demand when there is full employment in the economy. So F is the point of equilibrium in the economy where AD is equal to AS and there is full employment in the economy. And ADP is the planned AD. Okay, it is the planned AD, but at this line we are not achieving equilibrium corresponding to full employment. Okay, so this vertical difference between ADP and ADF is known as excess demand. Have a look on causes of excess demand, or we can say causes of excess aggregate demand. First cause is increase in private consumption expenditure. As we know that consumption expenditure is a component of AD. If it will increase, that means AD will also increase. Okay, now why would there would be increase in this consumption expenditure? This can increase due to increase in propensity to consume, that is increase in MPC, or we can say decrease in propensity to save, that is NPS. In countries like India, propensity to consume, that is MPS, has tended to rise owing to a high degree of demonstration effect. What is this? These are the effects on the behavior of people. So in India, basically, the poor try to spend more to live like the rich, which lead to increase in marginal propensity to consume and which lead to increase in private consumption expenditure, which will automatically increase aggregate demand. The next cause is increase in investment expenditure. This is also a component of aggregate demand. If it will increase, aggregate demand will also increase. And now the question arises, why would there be increase in investment expenditure? This may occur owing to bullish business expectations. What are bullish business expectations? Business expectations are bullish when the producers expect high returns from their investment. Okay, if a producer wanted to earn high returns, then he will invest more. That means there would be more investment expenditure, which will lead to increase in AD. Okay, so this is the one reason that investment expenditure may increase due to bullish business expectations. In an open economy with government, there are following additional causes of excess AD. Okay. See, increase in government expenditure. Now, government expenditure is also a component of AD. If government expenditure will increase, okay, if government consumption expenditure and government investment expenditure will increase, that will automatically increase AD. Owing to its expanding commitments for the development as well as welfare projects in the economy. Okay, now the question arises, why would government increase its expenditure? Because of welfare of the economy. If government has committed that it will do the welfare and development in the economy, then government has to incur these expenditures. That means government expenditure would increase, which will lead to increase in aggregate demand. The next cause is increase in exports owing to lower domestic prices in relation to international prices. Now, if domestic prices of goods will reduce, okay, and international prices will increase, then there would be increase in exports. We will export our products. That means demand, income will increase, that means demand will also increase. Okay. The next cause is decrease in imports owing to higher international prices compared with domestic prices. Now suppose if goods in international prices of goods increases, then we will not purchase from international market, we will purchase from domestic market. Then income of the people will increase, that will automatically lead to increase in expenditure, consumption expenditure or investment expenditure, which would lead to increase in AD. Okay. And the last cause is a cut in tax rate, leaving higher disposable income with the people. Now, if there is reduction in tax rates, that means people will have more income to spend. Okay, they will have more disposable income with them. So that means they will have more purchasing power, which will lead to increase in AD. Now, what are the consequences of excess AD? What are the results of excess AD? The first consequence is inflationary gap. See, in excess demand, output or production does not rise. Okay, when AD increases beyond its full employment level, output remains constant. But the pressure of demand on the existing supply keeps on rising. Okay, as output is not increasing but demand is increasing, which creates pressure on the existing supply, due to which the prices will rise. Okay, this rising pressure of demand on existing output leads to a rise in price level, which causes inflation, or we can say inflationary gap. Okay, see, there is excess AD in the economy, pressure of demand on the existing resources. Why? Because output remains constant, there cannot be increase in production or output. If production cannot be increased, that means excess AD will create pressure of demand on existing resources, which will lead to rise in cost of production. If there will be rise in cost of production, that means there would be rise in price level. Why? Because output level remains constant because resources are fully employed. Now see this through diagram. AD is shown on y-axis, income or GDP output is shown on x-axis. This dark blue line shows aggregate supply line or income line. ADF shows aggregate demand at full employment equilibrium. Okay, so F is the point that shows full employment equilibrium where AS is equal to AD. And ADP shows AD beyond full employment, planned AD beyond full employment. So we can say this vertical difference between E and F is excess demand, or we can say inflationary gap. The second consequence is static GDP. That means output remains constant. Okay, if there is excess demand in the economy, that means output will remain constant because all the resources are already fully utilized at the point of equilibrium, full employment equilibrium, and beyond excess demand there will be no increase in output or production. Okay, so second consequence is static GDP. Even when the level of AD is higher than its full employment level, the level of GDP does not rise. It remains static. It is a situation when higher demand fails to generate higher GDP. Why? This is because resources are already fully employed. There is no excess capacity, no unemployment in the economy. See-through diagram, AD is shown on y-axis, income GDP output is shown on x-axis. F point shows equilibrium at full employment, okay, and this E point shows planned AD beyond full employment. So at both the point our GDP is OL, is at this point OL. This output remains constant at both the points. So this shows static GDP. The next consequence of excess demand is wage price spiral. This is a vicious circle. See how? If there is excess demand in the economy, that means production is constant, but there is pressure of demand on the production. That means prices of the goods and services will rise. If prices will rise, that means workers of a country will demand for high wages. If their wages will be increased, that means their demand will also increase, which will again lead to inflation. Now again inflation would be there, that means workers will again demand for high wages, and the circle will go on and our economic growth will be trapped in wage price spiral. Okay. The next consequence is loss of profit. Okay, as deficient demand causes loss of profit, similarly excess demand also causes loss of profit. How? Profit is lost because owing to lack of excess capacity, as there is no resources which is unutilized, all the resources are utilized, the producers are not able to raise their supplies because all the resources are already fully utilized. So producers are not able to increase their supplies. In other words, there is a loss of profit owing to unfulfilled demand in the economy. As producers are not able to increase their production, in response to that, they are not able to meet the rising demands in the economy, due to which they suffer a loss of profit owing to unfulfilled demand in the economy. Okay. So briefly we can say that excess demand is vicious. Okay, it generates inflationary spiral in the economy. Instead of or devoid of any rise in GDP, instead of increasing the output of production, it creates pressure of demand on existing resources, due to which there is rise in cost of production, particularly wages, which leads to rise in cost, leads to rise in prices. Okay, if wages will increase, that means cost of production is increasing, which means there would be rise in prices. The economy is caught in wage price spiral, a challenge to stability of economy. Okay. Now we shall understand measures to correct deficient demand and excess demand. How can we correct the deficient demand and excess demand in our economy? Okay, there are two methods. Either we can use fiscal policies or we can use monetary policies. Fiscal policies include government expenditure, taxes, public borrowings, borrowings from RBI. And monetary policy includes bank rate or repo rate, reverse repo rate, open market operations, CRR, SLR, margin requirement, moral pressure, and credit rationing. Okay. In this video, we shall focus on fiscal policy. In next video, we shall focus on monetary policy. Okay. The first fiscal policy is government expenditure. What do we mean by government expenditure? The government of a country incurs various types of expenditure in the economy. Okay, it does expenditure on education and public welfare programs. It does expenditure on construction of roads, dams, bridges, expenditure on defense of the country and maintenance of law and order. So when there is excess demand in the economy, government expenditure is reduced so that the income of the people is reduced, which will lead to decrease in purchasing power, which automatically means AD will be controlled. Okay, and if there is deficient demand in the economy, that means government expenditure is increased. By increasing government expenditure, government is increasing the income of the public. That means it is injecting the circular flow of income in the economy. Okay, it is increasing the income of the public. That means purchasing power will increase. If purchasing power is increasing, that means demand of the public will also increase and deficient demand will be corrected. So this is the way how government expenditure plays a role in correcting the excess demand and deficient demand. Now the next way to correct excess and deficient demand is taxes. What are taxes? These are the compulsory payments which are made by households or producing sectors to the government. Okay, it is a compulsory payment which is made by households or producing sector to the government. So when there is deficient demand, when deficient demand is to be corrected, that means AD needs to be increased. Tax burden on the households and the producers is reduced. Means now in this case, when tax burden is reduced, people have to pay less amount of tax to the government. That means their purchasing power is increased, due to which their demand will also increase and deficient demand will be corrected. Similarly, when excess demand is to be corrected, that means AD needs to be decreased. Tax burden on household and producers is increased. Now, by increasing tax burden, government is reducing the purchasing power of the people. That means their income is reducing, purchasing power is reducing. That means their demand will also be reduced and excess demand will be corrected. The next way to correct excess and deficient demand is public borrowing. By borrowing from the public, government creates public debt. Okay, what does it mean? That government borrow from public. Now, in situation of deficient demand, the government reduces its borrowing from the public. Okay, it reduces the borrowing from the public so that people are left with greater cash balances and their expenditures will increase, demand will increase, so that deficit demand can be corrected. On the other hand, when there is situation of excess demand, the government sets up public borrowing by offering attractive rate of interest. Now, by this way, the government is reducing the cash balances with the people. It is reducing the purchasing power of the people, due to which their demand will decrease and excess demand will be corrected. The next way of correcting excess and deficient demand is borrowing from RBI. Now it is increased to fight deflationary gap, or we can say deficient demand. So basically, when there is deficient demand in the economy, borrowing from RBI is increased so that there can be money creation in the economy. If there would be money creation in the economy, that means purchasing power of the people will be increased. Okay, that means their demand will increase and deficient demand will be corrected. And it is reduced to fight inflationary gap or excess demand. Now, when borrowing from RBI is reduced, that means the purchasing power of the people is also reduced. Their demand is reduced, which means excess demand is corrected. So now these were the fiscal policies of correcting deficient and excess demand. In the next video, we shall discuss the monetary policies for controlling excess and deficient demand. Now your homework is you have to read page number 263 to 270 of chapter number 9, problem of deficient demand and excess demand from your macroeconomics book.